Okay. I didn't. I'd heard of them, but
Oh wow,
I've never seen them.
Well, neither have I. I mean, they're thousands of years old, but I figured that's where you might have drawn any of your.
Well,
influence from.
actually, I remember when Sam was working on the script for Evil Dead. At the time, it was called Book of the Dead, and he had gotten that. He had a class that was discussing Egyptian history and stuff, and they mentioned the Egyptian Book of the Dead. So, Book of the Dead, that's a great title. And it turns out it wasn't a great title. Years later, when they made the movie, they had the original premiere. It was called Book of the Dead, and they got a classic old-time agent who had also handled George Romero's films. And this guy was like you could do a movie about this fella. And he started in representing, his first film he represented was Battleship Potemkin, which is a Russian film it's a film about the Russian Revolution. And sell that to more American audiences by Sergei Eisenstein. And he did because it did because it's a classic.
Oh, did it?
It did well enough, you know. And
I'm going to retract my statement on that, even though it's recorded.
But he looked at the film and he said, well, you can't call it Book of the Dead because kids will think, if you've book in the title, kids may think they're going to be expected to read at some point during the film. And an interesting story. Years later, of course, I'm doing I did a couple decades of convention appearances, and I was one in New Jersey, and John Saxon and Heather Langenkamp and a couple other actors. Robert Englund was in another room because he was so he's so huge.
If I could ever actually, sorry to digress, if I could ever actually meet Robert Englund, that would be the day I die.
Cool. They're all cool people.
He is my ultimate horror icon. If I can meet him, my life is complete. Sorry.
I would agree. And so people come in and they're meeting me and the ladies of the Evil Dead, and I'm telling them the story over and over again about Book of the Dead and how they had to change the title. And after a day or two, there was a break, and John Saxon came over and he said, I heard you talking about the Book of the Dead thing. That's true. It's a really bad title word. And I thought, wow, when you hit L.A., do you for Hollywood, they get a list of things, do's and don'ts. But fascinating that would have an impact. Of course, somebody did make a film called Book of the Dead with Jeffrey Combs as H.P. Lovecraft. And I guess it did okay. I haven't seen that one. But
right. I was going to mention that. I thought it was a movie that you mentioned H.P. Lovecraft. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Okay.
But that agent came up with the word Evil Dead. When I heard it, I thought, but it's stupid. It's just a nonsense word.
I thought the same thing.
And of course, today it's iconic. You go Evil Dead and ears perk
No
up.
disrespect to you or anybody on the crowd. I love the movie. I think it's fucking hilarious.
Absolutely.
Excuse my language, but when I'm thinking Evil Dead, I'm like, okay, I get that they're evil, but if they're dead, then that means they don't have the ability to think. So what exactly makes them evil? Because they're not zombies.
No, they're possessed. It's like a demon possession kind of thing.
Right.
And it's there to torture you and your victims.
Right.
And so originally the idea for Sam was for making a horror film was back in those days, drive-ins were the thing. I mean, that was huge. Every theater, every town had a drive-in theater, and they needed like 3 new movies a week because everybody would show up and sit through the double or triple feature, and so there was a glut for things. And if film number 2 and 3 weren't that good, fine, you're still eating eating your popcorn and drinking products and the little happy hot dogs and all that.
Oh, bedroom on wheels.
Oh, sure. Or necking with your girlfriend, whatever it is. But so there was definitely a market for horror films, and that was a way to get your first foot in the door. And I remember a conversation around the sink in Tennessee at the house we were staying at, But we thought, none of us had any idea what the film was going to turn out to be, or even necessarily that it would be finished. But we thought, if this plays one weekend at a drive-in movie theater in Texas, we can say we made a commercial of a feature film,
Right.
And of course, far surpassed that.
So was anybody involved with the movie expecting it to explode the way it did?
No, I don't think so. It's just not reasonable to think that. I mean, look at all the great movies that bomb.
Right.
And it takes a couple of years and people go see it on for free because, like today, they got this hater thing, and I don't get that at all. I let movies wash over me, and I can find things I like about it, some things I don't like about them. Like I have this thing, it's called the stupid pill. Watching movies with my buddies, there'd be like a scene where some guy's in prison. He manages to knock out a guard and escape from his cell. But he leaves the door open, he leaves the guard hanging half in and out of the thing, so anybody who just looks down the hall, and he doesn't take the guy's gun.
God, yes.
And so when we would complain about that, we'd say, well, you should take a stupid pill.
Yes.
And or you can smoke an ignorette. And so that just drives me crazy, like when
you see that in horror films.
When one of the good guys is dying, he goes, "No, you gotta go, you gotta run." And they go, "No, I can't leave you. You gotta run, you gotta run. They're coming right now. Oh, but I can't leave you. I'll try. No, you've gotta shut the fuck up and just leave, And that kind of stuff. It's like,
I don't understand that. Okay, I get that it's supposed to be entertaining, but there is a line that you have to draw where it just becomes redundant.
Yeah, am I watching a cliche again? That kind of thing,
Right.
And so Sam is aware of this and actually uses that to fuck with the audience. He called it torturing the audience. And so the idea that, Sam's original idea, like I was getting back to, was Night of the Living Dead is genius, the original, because it's incredibly low budget. And but they had an expense that even we couldn't have. Even if you had 50 or 25 zombies or demons or whatever, even if they're working for free because they get to be in a movie and have makeup on and it's a lot of fun for a couple of days.
It is fun. It really is.
But we couldn't even afford to feed them.
Right.
I mean, we didn't have much money at all. We were like living on macaroni and
mac and cheese and hot dogs.
Oh boy, yeah. And so Sam had the idea of, well, if they're possessed by demons and you're coming at them with your shotgun, suddenly they turn back to your girlfriend. Right. Oh, Ash, help me, don't let them hurt. And then you put the gun down and you hug them and they turn back into a demon. And you can do that all day long. And that was a genius, because with 5 characters, you turn them into, 8 or 9 characters. And because then they're the demon things, and then they're problematic.
They're playing with the mind.
Yes, exactly, and that's brilliant. That's great, and very efficient and economical.
Right.
And that's Sam. That's Sam. Always thinking.
So there was something that was brought to my attention a couple of weeks ago. Do you know anything about the new developments of Evil Dead? Before we get into it?
I enjoyed Ash vs. the Evil Dead. I heard there might be another film that could take it into another direction.
But you don't have anything to do with that?
No.
Oh, okay. Alright, well, in that case, how do you feel about the direction that the Evil Dead has gone since Army of Darkness?
I think it's brilliant. I thought Ash vs. the Evil Dead was actually the best incarnation of the Evil Dead series, because the 3 Evil Dead films have completely different tones to them. The Evil Dead, the first one, is dark humor and gore, and Evil Dead 2 is comedy and some gore and some good scares, But Evil Dead Army of Darkness is like almost like a Three Stooges kind of thing, where there really aren't scares. You know, there's good monsters and it's gory in a couple of places, but it's more of a screwy thing. And Ash vs. the Evil Dead, I thought masterfully combined all three of those.
Mm-hmm.
And so you could skip through it from the hardcore horror stuff to Bruce doing his goofy stuff.
Did I say car? I meant car.
Yeah. And I thought that kind of quantumized it. It combined it and made it into something new, but still fun,
Right.
and definitely evoked. I love his sidekicks in that too. They're terrific actors.
Yeah, I love this the whole psychic thing that they're doing, because it's not only focusing on Ash himself. Because I gotta admit, Bruce is hilarious. I would love to meet Bruce. I'd love to.
You definitely do. He's the real deal.
I see him in interviews, and I would just love to just kick back, maybe just slam one with him or something like that, you know.
He back when I knew him, back in the Evil Dead days, he was amazingly shy. You put him on stage and he's da 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 da. But I remember just meeting him, and I don't think. I remember somebody asking me on Evil Dead 2, or years later after that, what it was like working with Bruce, and I thought.
I was just gonna ask that same question.
We worked on 2 movies, and I said, I don't think we said 50 words to each other during it. For one thing, in Evil Dead, he's in almost every scene,
Mm-hmm.
and in Evil Dead 2. And he's carrying the movie on his back,
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously, he's got other things to do than
Right.
chat with everybody.
And watching when you're watching like behind the scenes that they do with like the extra features and stuff like that, you really get a good view of what it's like trying to be on set. Cause it's not just about being on camera and being in character. Cause you got, like you said, you got to go through hours of makeup.
Mm-hmm.
You got to adjust your sleep schedule. Then you got assholes that just want to ruin your day because they're having a bad day.
There's that, yeah.
And
also, there's the complexity of what you're in, because your headspace has to be in the character's headspace.
Right.
And also with the things that the director needs in the time that he needs them, because they'll time out. This is like a 5-second shot, and I need A, B, and C done.
Mm-hmm.
So that it has to convey, it has to read very clearly that you're looking at this and you're confused, and then suddenly you realize what's happening, and then you react with horror,
Right.
that kind of thing. And so he needs all that stuff in there. Or I need you to cross the room over here and pick up this thing and realize I've got to use this to kill somebody.
Right.
But whatever it is, you have to demonstrate the intent of what the scene is about so that it's useful in the film. Because if you film the wrong thing and it doesn't cut in, you lose the audience immediately, and Sam is, again, a genius at that.
It really is. I've never actually done any acting, but behind camera. But it seems to see like a scientific formula to it. If you just do one minor thing, the whole puzzle just falls apart.
Hitchcock is brilliant at that. The way he would construct his scenes and use storyboards, which was a development by Disney Studios, of course, because you do the
Right.
cartoons or feature films in drawings first, and then you know exactly what you need to fill up the frame with. There's a brilliant production designer, William Cameron Menzies, who was the production designer for Gone with the Wind. In fact, he kind of directed that film in that he created the visual style. But he could figure out, let's say you got a scene with a little old lady in a rocking chair, and the setting is her cozy little cottage, and there's the sun is setting through the windows, and but all you need is the shot of her.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you convey that it's the light's coming in through the windows, and that there might be a fireplace going, and you have a potted plant in the foreground, and then her and some pictures. Well, he would set it up so that you don't need the actual window there.
Mm-hmm.
You just need a cutout of a window, have the light coming through, and then you have a red light over here with somebody jingling some plastic
things.
Yeah, and so it creates the illusion of it, because you don't actually see the window or the
Right.
fireplace, but because of the lighting, you know that there's a fireplace and a window.
Right.
And it's nighttime coming in because it's, you know, lower level sun and all this, and she's doing her knitting or reading or whatever.
Right.
And so of all the elements you need, you don't need to actually build the full set, you just need that one wall behind her. And you don't only need like a couple of inches extending that. Roger Corman was famous for that. He would figure out his films and then build the sets no bigger than they needed to be.
Right.